I made some huge mistakes when I was buying fertilizer. I was out of my usual brand and I wasn't near any stores that sold it, and I needed it quickly, so I didn't have enough time to order any. So I just picked up something that was available while I was at a big box store, not known for its garden center, and that was my first mistake. You should never buy fertilizer from a big box store like that unless it's a trusted brand or has a true garden center. But even then, you should still be cautious of what you buy, which was my second mistake. I didn't really look at the packaging. What I bought was not organic. I was also picking up some bone and blood meal, and both of those said they were organic, and this fertilizer was next to them, so I figured, hey, okay, this works. But the bag of fertilizer does not say it's organic anywhere, and it is not OMRI listed, so because I was buying something other than my usual product, I should have really paid attention to the packaging. Even though the bone and blood meal packaging does say they are organic, they are still not OMRI listed, but I'd be more willing to risk using these than the fertilizer, which I unfortunately already used. I was wearing sunglasses when I opened this bag up and applied it to parts of my garden, and so I didn't realize what it actually looked like inside. It wasn't until the next day when I wasn't wearing sunglasses that I realized there were blue granules in the fertilizer. So I looked at the packaging, and lo and behold, what do I see? That this bag contains polymer coated urea. That makes me feel really uncomfortable because it makes me worried about microplastics in my soil. And yes, I use food grade plastic containers and I use plastic plant labels, and sometimes I use plastic stakes for my plants. But for some reason, it feels way worse to be scratching this stuff into the soil and watering it in directly around the plant's root zones. And polymer doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. All plastics are polymers, but not all polymers are plastics. But without it being labeled organic or OMRI listed, I really can't trust it at all. And by using polymer coated fertilizer, there is the worry about microplastic pollution, including soil degradation, water contamination, human and animal health impacts, and just overall environmental concerns. And the reason they are coated in polymer is to make the fertilizer slow or time released, meaning it won't dissolve quickly like the other granules in the fertilizer. So your plants get a steady supply of those nutrients between feedings. So, literally, the whole point of the polymer coating is so that it doesn't break down. It's not biodegradable, so while it might lose its structure and deposit the nutrients into the soil, you've still got this polymer coating hanging around. I am really kicking myself for not being more aware at the store and not reading the label and just assuming it was okay and just using it. So I am trying to pick out all of this fertilizer that I can find, or at least the blue granules. And do I really need to be removing what I already applied right now? Probably not, because the damage is already done since I've watered my plants now twice after this was applied, but I would just feel better if I remove whatever I can. But it's likely okay since I know I won't be using this stuff ever again. There's this health influencer online that I follow, and I don't usually follow or listen to health influencers much, or I just take what they have to say with a grain of salt, and that's a whole other topic. But this is one of the rare health influencers that I actually trust, and something that he always says is the dose makes the poison. So while it wasn't great that I used this, it was one application, and I am picking out as much of this garbage as I can and then never using it again. The dose of this poison is likely very minimal, but I still don't like it. Plant fertilizer should look natural like this. If it looks like this with different colors that aren't neutral or earth toned, I'd definitely double check the packaging to see what's actually inside your fertilizer. Some plants, like sunflowers, are known to be able to remove toxins or heavy metals from soil, and while sunflowers aren't known for removing microplastics from soil, there are some plants that have supposedly shown that they can absorb microplastics through their roots, and one of those plants happens to be fava beans. Okra is also being studied to see if it can show some microplastic removal, but honestly, right now there isn't much information or studies on the matter. But I've got fava bean seeds, so I am going to plant some of them in the areas where I used the fertilizer, which was mostly my tomato beds. And fava beans and tomatoes can be considered companion plants. So again, There's not a lot of studies out there right now, but I figure it can't hurt to plant fava bean seeds in those areas just in case. A soil contaminant test to see what the soil contains could be an option, but as of right now, there aren't many affordable or commercially available tests that are designed to test for microplastics. But that is something I want to keep my eye on as more research and studies come out. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, and at the end of the day, it feels like microplastics are just everywhere and it seems impossible to be completely rid of them. But I like to do what I can to minimize and avoid them wherever possible, which is why I don't want to use this type of fertilizer ever again or any kind that has polymer coated components in it. I know we all make mistakes, but I just needed to be more careful, and I really regret that I wasn't, and that I strayed from my usual brand. I feed the soil, and the soil feeds me, and I really should have known better. But luckily, it was pretty quick to see my error so I could stop using it, but definitely don't make the same mistakes that I did. Find fertilizers that are organic and that are OMRI listed, and if you're trying something new, really look at the packaging. Or if you're running low on your usual fertilizer, make sure you have enough time to order it online or head to a store that carries it before you run out so you don't end up getting something as a last resort that could end up hurting your soil health and the environment.